Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the official Run the Seam show. Yeah, let's clap it up for that one. Woo!
We
All
are
right.
the Run the Seam men. All right.
No,
Now,
veto.
The
Okay.
question on our minds today is, will we ever get it right?
Yeah, Kev, that was a fun week for me, not for you as much. Let's go. I'm sorry. Before we move forward to actual games, I do want to correct myself. Last week I said Mike Ponderosa. The character's name from It's Always Sunny is Bill Ponderosa.
Yes.
And I don't think anybody can disagree with me. I have these gentlemen lined up here: Kirby Smart, Josh Heupel, Bill Ponderosa.
Yeah.
They could be triplets, and you wouldn't bat an eye.
I mean, there's a head coach vacancy at Virginia Tech that maybe he's got the look.
Look, we're just going to find him, and we're going to give him a crash course on college ball. All right?
It's going to work. Look at him.
That guy knows ball. That guy knows ball. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, another thing I want to let you all know is we do officially have our mascots for the channel going forward. It's going to be a eagle angrily fighting a Virginia Tech possum holding a banjo. Yeah.
I'm the possum.
Thank you for clarifying for our listeners, Kevin. I appreciate that. So without further ado, let's get into some...
One last thing. For any of our subscribers out there, as always, leave a comment in the chat with a team you'd like us to cover. Please, God, no more D2 schools. It was hard.
As you will see, we are men of our word.
Yes.
We will analyze whatever team you put in there. We're relying on the kindness of humanity for you not to put a very obscure school that nobody knows about. Okay? And with that, let's get into a recap of last week, Kev.
Yep.
Alrighty, guys. So let's talk about last week's picks, Kev.
Do we have to?
We do, for the people. For the people. But jokes aside, we picked some great games last week. They were all just looking at those scores, you know.
Two overtime games.
Two overtime games. We had Georgia Tech in that nail biter against Clemson. Yeah, I have Dabo going laser eyes. Did you see, Kev, his press conference that he did earlier this week?
Yes, because this is the worst start Clemson's had under his tenure. 1-2.
His quote, no. Is it? Oh, yeah, it is 1-2. Excuse me. I forgot about Troy that they narrowly won. Jesus. But, yeah, he said the line, you guys aren't criticizing the other teams as much as us. I don't see you going after other And I'm like, dude, that's the biggest whiner talk you can possibly have. Look, if I'm Clemson, the athletic director, I'm going to Dabo and I'm being like, either adapt or leave at this point. There's plenty of other college coaching, plenty of others. I'd say there's two right now, big ones, that he could probably be a better fit at. I mean, an upturned mop with a bucket for a head would probably be a better fit at Virginia Tech and UCLA.
Agreed. Actually, I'd like to give shout out to my mom. She saw right through Brent Pry. This is 2 years ago, I believe. I remember her saying, I can't stand Brent Pry and that stupid bomber jacket he wears.
I would also like to give a shout out to Kev's mom. All right, now moving on.
What?
Backyard Brawl. Did you get a chance to watch any of that, Kev?
No.
Pitt was leading that game for a majority of it. West Virginia came out at the end. It's what my whole performance, oratorially wise, last week was all in celebration for. It was just a good game that ran down the last second. Georgia defeating Tennessee. Kev, I felt bad for you about that Tennessee money line. You know,
I know.
We have Sam Gilbert, I believe his name, or whatever the kicker from Tennessee's name is. He has an incredibly white guy name. That's one thing I can tell you. He just missed a complete layup.
It was tough, and yeah, that was one where if I had just taken Tennessee to cover, as Tyler did, I would have gotten that pick as well. One thing about West Virginia is I'm in the West Virginia subreddit because I was showing our video there last week, and spirits are at an all-time high there, I will say. They're very excited. They're going down. They're going to Topeka, Kansas. I don't know if that's where the Jayhawks play, but that's where they're playing this week. So anyway.
Well, you know, we don't have that on the card, Kev, but that sounds like a good game.
I got it in my 5-check parlay.
Yeah. Very good. A little spoiler alert.
We're going to breeze right past Miami USF. Broke my heart, but man, is
USF I still think is in there, Kev. That's one thing I will say. Look, there's a coveted spot in the college playoff right now for those group of 5 schools. right now it's either USF or the team we're going to talk about
Yes.
today. And then obviously Marcus Freeman's got to get his shit together.
Their defense has to like that.
Yep.
I mean, 41 points is great showing by the offense, but actually, I guess this was on the last slide. There was a holding call that was missed on the very last drive where Texas A&M went and ended up taking the lead. I didn't mind, as you see, my picks were right. But if I'm a fighting leprechaun right now, I'm a little bummed. So
fighting leprechaun, they should coin that. And if you're an A&M fan, you got to be thinking like, what's sky's the limit? Honestly, for these guys, SEC is still wide open. Like I've been saying every week, so we'll see what happens as the week pans out. Now let's get into what everybody really wants to hear about this week's picks.
And as we can see, we are going to be picking 6 games, 5 D1 games, and 1 little bonus one for all the Ryan McCanns out there. We'll take a brief check at our cumulative records. Tyler, still over 500. I took a slight step back. But hey, this week I can go break even if I get every single pick right, and I think I might.
2 things there, Kev. Yes. I remember hearing once on Pardon My Take, a podcast that you and I both listened to, that they would SAD for 51%. Luckily, I have not had to do that. This is arguably the best gambling record I've ever had, and I hope it stays that way. Also, you just last name dropped one of our friends before anybody on the show even knows our last names, and hopefully we keep it that way. Ryan McCann, his social security number is...
Let me take you folks back to November 1st, 2008. The number 1 Texas Longhorns are traveling to Lubbock, Texas, take on the Red Raiders with 1 second left. And this is, mind you, after Texas drove down the field, took the lead with 1 minute, 29 seconds left. Michael Crabtree, you might remember him. He might have been on someone's fantasy team too. Look at that, and they are and Texas is happy, and oh no, what's this? Rice Eccles Stadium in Utah. The year is 2025, and we will be picking Texas Tech at Utah. Coming at you live, 10 a.m. local time. All right, so first game, number 17, Texas Tech at Utah. And the at is very key here because one thing I noted in my research, Utah in the last 10 years, 48-13 at Rice Eccles Stadium. They are 46-9 if you don't count last year's 1-4 home record. And from 2018 to 2023, they went 32-3. One thing I'll note for this game, the team up at halftime is almost certainly going to win the game.
Yep.
All right. Now, not just because Texas has a great defensive line that's going to get pressure if Utah falls behind and has to throw, but Utah's crowd, that's going to discombobulate a Texas Tech team that has not faced much resistance yet this year. Only 2 teams in the last 10 years have been able to come back from being down at halftime and beat Utah at home. Now, one last macro thing to point out. I was looking back over the years. Utah would have made the college football 12-team playoff in 2022, 2021, and likely 2019. Also, how electric was that 2023 final Pac-12 season? We had Caleb Williams crying. We had Washington's Cinderella journey with Michael Penix. We had Colorado's collapse. We had Utah, 10 wins. Oregon with Bo Nix, and also Arizona went 10-3 there too. It was a real good curtain call for that conference.
I know, man, that was amazing.
On you.
Yeah, no, I mean, Kevin, as I'm doing my research on these 2 games, the one thing that I just keep going back to is we got 2 QBs that have not been tested, but their stats show they're just slinging rock and throwing, the ball for outrageously high numbers. Now, Baron Morton for Texas Tech. He has 901 total yards already in throwing for 3 games. That's damn impressive. Now, the one thing I do want to go back to, though, that as I did some digging, is he does thrive in positions where Texas Tech is already comfortable. 43% of his passing yards are coming from situations where they are up by 22 points or more.
That's a good stat.
That's a good thing to know because that means that a lot of his stats are being padded by garbage time. That's one thing to note there. Now, looking on the other side of the ball, we got Devin Dampier. There's a lot of buzz about this kid over at Utah. He's, been throwing a pretty similar game. I think that looking at their past schedules, I mean, at the time, UCLA was an impressive victory. Obviously, not so much anymore. But the kid, when he was at New Mexico prior to coming to Utah, he was 2-0 against the spread against ranked opponents. That's pretty big for. New Mexico is Mountain West? Correct me if I'm wrong, Kev.
I mean, I can't.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
It's
Fair
impossible
enough.
to know.
But he did bring his offensive coordinator from New Mexico with him to the Utah program. That's a very unique situation.
How often didn't New Mexico get gutted by Vanderbilt 2 years ago?
Yes.
Does this what happens with the New Mexico football program?
It could be just an ongoing thing where they're just the first to drop trowel and leave everybody behind. It's the first sniff of any program failing. That being said, another one of the big storylines here is you got this kid Devin Dampier, and he hasn't thrown an interception yet. I will say, though, looking at both these teams' schedules, it's almost not impressive to not have thrown an interception, and it's almost more embarrassing to have thrown any interceptions at all. So the fact that Beren Morton has actually thrown an interception in the past is kind of a little bit of a thing to look at for.
I mean, hopefully it was against Oregon State, but
hopefully.
I don't know if you have that.
And the other thing is Utah just is a very physical upfront team. Their line is going to put blitzes on Beren Morton like none other. He's been clicking with his wide receivers in Caleb Douglas and Coy Eakin for the first 3 games. He's going to have a lot more pressure to deal with this Utah offensive line.
Yeah. Before you get to our picks, I do have 2 things to note. Utah, they have 2 tackles on the offensive line, Spencer Fano and Caleb Lomu, projected first, second round draft picks at this point. So, and then Beren Morton, Texas Tech QB, 80.4 passing grade at home, but 59.0 away. 35.5 when pressured. So, anyway.
I think that kind of leads us, Kev.
Yep. So, I'm going Utah to cover. Don't need,
and then, and we're against each other on the over-under. The only reason, Kevin, I've been spouting this all season, anytime the spread is this close in college ball, I'm always taking the under. It's just a rule that's worked out for me, and I'm not straying away from it yet. But, this is going to be a good game. I think it's going to be one of the deciding factors in the Big 12.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. All right.
And for game number 2, we have number 22, Auburn, coming in on the road at number 11, Oklahoma. So some of our more astute listeners might know that Oklahoma and Auburn played yesterday, and I will take us back there briefly. September 28th, 2024. 3-1, Oklahoma is coming off a 25-15 loss against Tennessee, and they trail Auburn 21-10 in Alabama in the 4th quarter. Auburn misses a field goal at the 10-minute mark. 2 plays later, J.J. Hester reels in a 60-yard touchdown pass. 2 plays after that, Javonte Barnes runs it in for a touchdown. It's 21-16 after a failed 2-point try. 8 minutes, 30 seconds left. On the ensuing drive, Auburn has burnt 4.5 minutes of clock and is facing 3rd and 4 at the Oklahoma 43-yard line with 4 minutes, 6 seconds left. Peyton Thorne drops back to pass, but Kip Lewis from Oklahoma has stumbled back into coverage. He almost fell over. He faked the blitz, stumbled back, picks the ball off, runs it back 63 yards for a touchdown. Auburn loses, falls to 2-3, finishes season 5-7.
I was trying to close my eyes to picture myself there because I don't remember that game. That was beautiful. Thank you, Kevin.
No problem.
Thank you so much.
And so.
And scene. Starting off, Kev, talking about this game, I mean, we'd be remiss if not talking about the fact that Jackson Arnold is going back to Oklahoma. Doing some reading today, Brent Venables just gave a lot of media fluff answers when asked about it, and it got me to thinking I don't think there's an advantage to that, so to speak. You got to imagine a guy like Brent Venables is concocted new game plan schemes on the off season. So Jackson Arnold, guy who wasn't that talented there. I mean, if you look at Oklahoma's season last year, I don't consider that a positive is what I'm getting at. But it is going to be interesting to see. I'll be watching the TV intently to see like if they have any pre-game like niceties between each other. You know.
I don't know how they let. Like I don't know if it was.
I don't
on
think
bad
it was
terms.
good. I don't know the exact
I know
story.
the
but
Oklahoma fan base was not impressed with him, but I don't know if there was any animosity between the coaches and him, or if it was kind of a mutual.
Well, it'll be
break.
interesting to see how the crowd reacts.
True, the Auburn crowd. Yeah. Yeah.
They're, no. They're a Norman, my friend.
I was back in 2024.
That's right. You got something? What do you got?
So I'm looking at Oklahoma's red zone defense here, especially being at home. Like I feel like when you're at home, that just adds to your red zone defense. But so far, they haven't allowed a single touchdown in the red zone. They've allowed one touchdown all year, and it was to Michigan on a 75-yard touchdown run. But Oklahoma's forced 0 turnovers, so we'll see. I mean, and I'm just looking at my stats. Jackson Arnold, even last year when he had his bad season at Oklahoma, he only threw 3 interceptions. I mean, so this could be, if Auburn plays a very fundamentally sound game.
Yep.
Who knows?
All right, Kev, I have a stat that'll probably convince all of our gamblers to go one way on this, but I just want to read it out. Since Hugh Freeze took over in 2022, Auburn is 1-6 against the spread against opponents ranked higher than them.
Okay.
Yeah, just
do you know who that one was?
No, I don't. But I wish I'd known you were gonna ask that beforehand, Kevin. Now got him. Now, okay, I just want to go through some notes that I had. Obviously, both of these teams have had at least one high-profile game. Well, quote-unquote high-profile, I would say. So, looking at Oklahoma versus Michigan. One of John Mateer, who is quickly becoming one of my favorites for a Heisman, he has a favorite weapon in that tight end, Jaron Kanak. He, in that game against Michigan, was the one who made the first big play with a combo of his athleticism, having the ability to make a one-arm grab of a pass, great play design from Brent Venerables. He was just in a wide-open field with literally, it was a square of 4 secondaries, and he was in the center of it. It was beautiful to watch, and just quick reaction time from Mateer, okay? Oklahoma's wide receivers took advantage of the Michigan zone coverage that left a lot of gaps. They were able to capitalize on it quickly, and Mateer is a mobile quarterback.
He was the quarterback we thought Underwood was for Michigan.
Yeah, exactly. And he's got a body on him. This kid is just stuffing people left and right. No, bonk. And I will also say this, another key player that I'm going to be watching out for is Deion Burks, his wide receiver. Agile kid, man. He's shorter than most, but you watch him on like those short, 3rd and 1 to gain plays. He is duking people left and right on the outside pocket just to get across the line of scrimmage, and it's beautiful to watch, okay?
And we are spoiled in the 3:30 time slot this week. This is the first of 3 games in that time slot we'll be covering. I mean, should we get to our picks?
Yeah, let me see it. Oh, one more thing. I will note from Oklahoma, R. Mason Thomas is the defensive end, one of their star defensive end, is having to sit out for the first half of the game following a ruling in last week where he had the targeting play.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I do have to note, there are pockets. I'm sorry, yes, you gave me one more thing, but now I'm going to do one more thing. Okay, 2 more things. There are pockets that the Auburn O-line leaves in almost a lazy fashion on key plays that could be exploited easily by an aggressive D-line and Arnold will have to be really mobile and really quick thinking in order to adjust to it.
All right.
You got anything else before we get to it?
Let's get to it, and you're not going to like my pick. I took the coward's way out here. I just did not see confidently that Oklahoma would win by 7 points. Nothing else to it.
Hey, dude, you got to. And, look, I took Oklahoma.
And the over.
Yeah. I just think John Mateer, he's building such a great resume. I like the kid's playmaking abilities, both in terms of his instinct and his ability to know when he needs to run. Those check down passes that he's regularly hitting with those short options, like that tight end that I mentioned. My notes aren't in front of me. And then, complemented with a lot of weapons, especially Deion Burks. So I'm going to ride with Oklahoma. I think that this would propel them easily to a top 10 spot. Potentially the SEC favorite? Am I losing my mind?
I mean, you got Georgia.
You do have Georgia, who only won by 3 points when they should have lost that game if the kicker knew what the hell he was doing.
True.
So, yeah, I'm just saying, hey, you never know. All right.
All right, in game number 3, the second 3:30 game we're covering, we have Tulane undefeated on the road at number 13, Ole Miss. Minus 485 favorite. Now, what is this picture? Well, okay. Because we do have lawyers involved in this show, I have to read this statement. While there is no forensic evidence that Lane Kiffin was run out of Tuscaloosa as the offensive coordinator because he was making boing boing with Nick Saban's daughter, the truth has a vibration, and I am vibing. All right, now my one stat, then I'll turn it over to Tyler. Ole Miss has struggled against running quarterbacks this year. Arkansas's QB Taylor Green had 115 yards on 14 carries last week. Ole Miss still won 41-35. However, I think that might have just been a blip because last year Ole Miss did fantastic against dual threat quarterbacks. Their toughest brush was with South Carolina game. They won 27-3, and Sellers had 55 yards on 15 attempts.
Kev, before we move on, I just want to make sure I'm hearing you right. You're saying you can sense the vibrations about a potential sexual... Okay, I'm just making sure. Yeah, fair enough. Look, I mean, looking at these two programs, you can easily just point to the fact that the last 2 meetings between these programs, the Ole Miss was 2-0 against the spread and straight up, fair enough, and they had a winning margin of 57 points. One thing I got to point out, that happened without John Sumrall as the head coach of Tulane. Looking at these schedules, Kev, it is apparent that this is Tulane's only and potentially last chance to make a resume for themselves to get that, like we mentioned earlier, coveted spot for the group of five. Group of 5? Yes, group of 5 teams in the playoff spot. They are a little bit more motivated, I would say, than Ole Miss. And I will also say personally, Lane Kiffin is still on my Beeb list after making that comment at the end of the game against Kentucky where he failed to cover. Here's a quote for you, Kev, that I have listed out here. And I don't know what Lane Kiffin was getting at with this, but he said, John Sumrall will have an SEC job
I did see that,
by this offseason. Is that a head game? Is that, hey, he's coming to take my job? It's also worth noting that he was a linebacker coach at Ole Miss before in a previous life. So that shows, I guess, what I'm getting at is Lane Kiffin does have respect for this guy in this program. Mm-hmm. I do think they're a little hungrier just looking at the statistics between Austin Simmons with Ole Miss and Jake Retzlaff with Tulane. In the fact that, we have one who has a 157 QBR, Austin Simmons, and Jake Retzlaff has a 123.7 QBR, okay?
However, he does have 288 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns on the ground.
Which one?
Retzlaff.
Yes.
Sorry.
So is that... you threw me off so hard. And then Ole Miss is changing things up on the starting lineup this week.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, they're throwing in Delano Townsend as a left guard over P.J. Wilkins and Jaden Yates as a linebacker over Taj Chambers. If I mispronounce any of that, I apologize.
And that's a blanket rule because we've probably mispronounced about everything we've tried.
I got to take some phonics classes. Conjunction function. Well, sure. I don't know. And here's another thing I have to say about Tulane. You mentioned the 288 rush yards. Mm-hmm. The next person on the team who has that is a running back, Javin Gordon, at 122 yards. I think that matchup with new starters at the secondary for Ole Miss will be very interesting to watch coming up here. You know what I mean? Especially because they got guys who are getting potentially their first start. Let me see. Did I have anything else? Oh, yeah, I did. Austin Simmons, Ole Miss, did not play against Arkansas last week with an ankle injury. It was he did aggravate the injury in a single pass he made for a touchdown in that game when he stepped in because Trinidad Chambliss was bleeding from his hand. Yes, I know that's disgusting.
Okay.
Excuse me. The only player that I can say outside of Austin Simmons I will be watching is Kewan Lacey, who has 200-yard rushing games for Ole Miss with 5 touchdowns total on the season.
Yet he still only has 2 rushing yards more than the Tulane quarterback.
That's nuts, dude.
What I will, we think about Boise State last year. I believe at the beginning of the season, it wasn't like Ashton Genty was on everybody's watch list.
Jake.
So if this is Jake's kingmaker game, maybe we're coming back next week and we're saying, okay.
These stats are Lamar Jackson on steroids.
And it's not like he's done it against. Anyway, we'll get to our.
Let's get to our picks. We're getting too in the weeds.
So, kind of buried the lead, but we're both. We're both like I don't think we feel nearly high enough on calling Tulane to get a victory.
No.
I mean, you can see our confidence is very low in this. I went back and forth all day, but
I did too. And look, I will also preface this, Kev. I don't know about you, but I'm a sucker for these group of 5 narratives when one of these teams, right? Like it's so, especially with college football landscape nowadays, where it's not like anybody can get a slice of the pie.
Yeah.
So why not? I want these teams and these programs to be as good as they are. I want to hear Lane Kiffin saying that this guy at Tulane is coming for my job, and I want him to make a good game. Which, let's go.
Hey, who knows? Maybe Tulane gets it done, and we will be now going into another potential Cinderella story.
Boom!
What if I told you there was a mythical football coach that could turn any program from dysfunction to dynasty in a mere 3 years? What if there was a Pet Cemetery meets M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong like twist? Enter stage left, Matt Rule. At Temple, Rule's Owls finished 2-10 in 2013, 6-6 in 2014. Year number 3, 10-4. And then to top it off in year number 4, 10-3. All right, gets a job at Baylor. At Baylor, Rule's Bears finished 1-11 in 2017. 7-6 in 2018, and 11-3 in 2019. Now, our more astute viewers might be noticing a pattern there. Let's continue. In the NFL, Rule's Panthers finished 5-11 in 2020, 5-12 in 2021. Then, in a move solidifying David Tepper's elite status among the dog-do NFL owners, he fired Rule midway through his 3rd season. So now we are at Nebraska, where Rule's corn dog munchers have gone 5-7 in 2023, 6-7 in 2024, and they're now 3-0 in his 3rd season. So what is the Matt Rule rule? 3rd year of his program, greatness. And boy, does Nebraska need it. This has been a program that has suffered more heartbreaks than anyone besides Virginia Tech in 1-score games, okay? Matter of fact, in the last 4 years, 22 of their 30 losses, 73% of them were by 1 score. Since 2018, 34 out of 50 of their losses were by 1 score. Now, is Matt Rule the knight in shining armor for this Nebraska program? I think we're going to find out at about 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Counterpoint.
What?
Just look at Biff Poggi. My God, that man is a victory.
It's
no, look, Kev, we're at a far cry from what both of these teams were 2 seasons ago. You know what I mean? Like
Nebraska.
They're a contender. Was 2 years ago on the Matt Rule?
2 seasons ago, they went 5-7. You weren't listening.
Yeah, no, you're right. I wasn't listening. No, 5-7 is a far cry from what we're looking at now with a team that's potentially
I see.
They should be like a ranked, sneaky opponent. Are they not ranked, or are we?
No, they're not ranked.
Okay, well, more misprint.
They're not
Then
ranked.
that's, I mean, look, there's been all the talks about the AP poll is broken over the last week or two. So maybe that's another,
Notre Dame, I think, first team since the 80s to be 0-2 and still ranked in the AP Top 25. I think I saw something like that.
I mean, there's politics involved in that. Look,
Hey, we're still Marcus Freeman.
I'm still a Marcus for
supporting
no
program.
other reason than, I would love him to come sweep me off my feet because of how beautiful he is. Here's one thing, Kev. We have a pretty big QB matchup here.
Yes.
Dylan Raiola, sneaky looking good, not just because he's copying Patrick Mahomes' every waking move. Bryce Underwood also as a true freshman QB from Michigan. There are some improvements that I would like to.
He figured it out last week.
But he figured it out. Yeah, he's. I think from what I've seen, the concerns I have are his offensive line not protecting him as much as he needs to be this early in his career. I think, Michigan is a program that is, quote unquote, for lack of a better term, in shambles because of, it's not in shambles, so to speak.
Scandals?
The cheating scandals. Yeah, shambles, scandals, whatever you want to call it.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah. But here, Kev, I just got to read off, and this is going to be boring for everybody, so if you want to skip past 20 seconds, that's fine. Bryce Underwood, 46 out of 80 completions per attempts. Dylan Raiola, 72-94. That's 57.5% to 76.6%. Okay. Bryce Underwood, 628 yards to Dylan Raiola's 829 yards. They're QBRs. Bryce Underwood's 129.2. Dylan Raiola is 178.8. I need to get learned on how the hell the QBR works because how is a guy with that much better stats ranked that much lower? I don't get it, but back to what I've been saying about this battle. There are some mirror facts about these two QBs. They both came on as 5-star recruits, both Underwood and Raiola, and they're both the second highest rated signees in modern recruiting era for their respective schools.
Wow, you from Michigan?
Yep,
okay.
Even from Michigan. Yeah, and promise me I did look it up. And this is the kind of an arbitrary subjective line here, but this is the first time this type of QB matchup has occurred in Big Ten history that didn't feature Penn State or Ohio State. So that's one thing we got to keep in mind. Yeah.
All right. I'll just have a couple notes here. And actually, real quick, go back to my story. In 2023 and 2024, Nebraska lost to Iowa 13-10 in back-to-back seasons. That sucks. Anyhow.
Is Matt Rule paying you right now? What the hell's going on?
No, this is crazy. Anyway, so Michigan coach Jerome Moore is also the reason why we got Bigsby over here.
Biff Ball.
Is because Michigan's coach is serving, I think, the second game of his 3-game suspension.
Self-imposed
and I think
suspension,
next year is when he's doing his 3rd game. So this
is the dumbest thing. Okay.
I might be wrong. Maybe I got that wrong, but if I didn't, then that's such a good way to ensure you're coaching one more year of the program. Now,
but it was self-imposed, right? I'm not getting
it was self-imposed.
Again, never mind.
And he hasn't been able to practice with the team this week, so that's another thing. I'm sure Michigan's not going to circumvent that anyway.
I heard about this. Do you think he's not in contact?
He's doing little bat signals,
right?
Probably.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll note, then we'll get right to the picks. Michigan's quarterback, obviously, he ran all over Central Michigan last week. In week 1, if you'll check the results there. Nebraska struggled with Cincy's quarterback, Brendan Sorsby. He ran 96 yards on 13 attempts for 2 touchdowns. Click it. Let's get to our picks.
Boom!
Love you, Nebraska. I'm going money line.
Let's go.
Done.
All right. We both like us some Nebraska. Yeah.
We're some corn-fed boys.
We're some corn-fed boys ourselves. Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. From,
Tyler's been known to husk a few boys, or some corn. Anyhow.
What was that? Look, for as much as Dylan Raiola gets the, memes with the Patrick Mahomes stuff, which he's rightfully so, I do still think at that first game of their season when they were playing at Arrowhead, he probably had a moment where he just ascended to the heavens and pretended he was Patrick Mahomes. All that aside, the kid's good, and I just like them in this spot better. I think Bryce Underwood and the Michigan program is still recuperating from all of the past couple seasons. Yeah, give me Nebraska. Let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring you guys to the attention of this Big Ten matchup that is a ranked Big Ten matchup that has not been a ranked Big Ten matchup since 1950. That's the last time these two programs were ranked. They've both been looked at in very similar what's the word I'm looking for? Scopes. And it's not just because of the big I that identifies both of them. It's because they're more so known as being doormats of the Big Ten in most recent memory. But, we got two teams here that have really been led to restructure themselves, with Brett Bielema being, and if I'm mispronouncing his last name, I apologize. I am? How do I say it? Bielema? Whatever. He has been 31-22 over the 53 games, and he is the second best in Illinois coach history over the last 110 years. You got to be able to celebrate that. Wow. With 150 miles between these two campuses, you can bet no matter where they're playing, it's going to be a loud and aggressive atmosphere. That's why I like this matchup so much. Kirk Cignetti is an aggressive coach. He's always been that way, and I know that a lot of programs wouldn't like that he chirps on the off field as much as he does, but hey, that's where we are. Illinois has had statement wins against no one this season. Duke is their most impressive win. They have a tougher than usual schedule to battle through for the rest of the season. So that being said, they do have to make a statement right now, okay? Mm-hmm. Both of these quarterbacks, pretty consistent, I will say. Neither of them has thrown any interceptions or has had any fumbles. There's 8 touchdowns to Luke, 9 touchdowns to Fernando Mendoza. You got 709 yards to Luke Altmaier, 708 yards to Fernando. Did you have that too?
Yeah, 55 completions versus 56.
Yep, there it is. We have the exact same thing written down. And then, I was just talking about QBR, so I don't understand it. These guys are right in line with each other at being 182 to Luke, 189.7 to Fernando. So we got two, twin quarterbacks here, essentially, if you're just looking at it from a stats standpoint. Now, one thing I do want to bring up is Illinois, so far this year, 3-0-0 against the spread. Indiana, 2-1 against the spread. Going back to 2024 against ranked opponents, Illinois had a much bigger gauntlet when it came to that than Indiana did. And Illinois went 5-1-0 against the spread in that year, and they are returning a majority of their non-power positions. And those against the spread wins that they had include teams like Michigan, Oregon, Kansas, Penn State, and Nebraska. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, Indiana against ranked opponents was 0-2, including
0-14 since 2021.
Against ranked opponents?
Against ranked opponents, yep. However, 11 straight home wins, so something's got to give.
Yeah.
But
okay,
yeah.
I see where you're going with that. Okay. Now, Kev, here's where I want to go into some statistics about the teams themselves.
Okay.
So, Illinois is leading the nation in fourth down conversion and red zone scoring, both at 100% of the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not so good at making explosive rush plays. They only have 3.6 yards per rush, ranking 89. Now, you want to hear something crazy on the backside of that?
Yeah.
Indiana is allowing opponents to score 100% of the time on red zone possessions. But they are great at making explosive plays, being ranked number 3 at total rush yards per game at 312.5.
That's interesting because against Duke, Illinois forced 5 turnovers against Duke. They scored 28 points off of them. I'm surprised none of those occurred in the red zone, but I guess not.
Wait. I think you're mishearing my guy. They are leading the nation in red zone scoring. So when they're in the red zone.
No, but on defense. Their defense gives up a score every time they
get. Okay, I'm not referencing that stat. I'm only referencing the offensive stat because that helps my case. Where I'm going to ignore your stat.
Fair.
But yeah, so look, I just think these teams are matched up perfectly to make a great game, and I think the storyline behind it, the confidence on my pick is what it is. I'm just excited to watch this one.
I'm very excited to watch this one. And I think some of the line favoring Indiana is because they made the college football playoff last year, but they had an easier schedule. So let's get to it. Come on. I was so close to doing Illinois money line.
Oh, it's an earthquake, buddy.
Yeah,
there we go.
I mean,
all right.
Sometimes two forces collide.
That's right. Look, you want me to go?
I'll go, man.
Look.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. The over, like I gave you my stats. I think these two teams are perfectly lined up to just have a knockout battle of overs. And Illinois, there's something about the program that as I'm watching them, I like their stats and I like their play style. I think that Luke Altmaier is not a sleepy pick for the Heisman, but he's he's making a name for himself.
Yeah, and I mean, who didn't love watching Illinois get under Shane Beamer's skin in that bowl game last year?
Ooh, that was amazing.
That was funny. Citrus Bowl.
Yeah.
Anyhow, all right.
Now here's our pity play of the week, everybody. Okay, we got Utah Tech versus Northern Iowa.
Showdown.
Yeah, big showdown.
We're covering 2 games in Utah this week.
I think this is actually we already talked about game day. I think this is where the big noon kickoff is, right?
Oh, let's go.
Yeah. Okay, look, for everybody who's confused, we were asked to review Utah Tech. That being said, let me get into it a little bit. Utah Tech, formerly known as the Dixie State Trailblazers.
Ooh.
How a team in Utah is known as Dixie State University. Away. Okay.
Don't sing that song.
What song? Okay, so I couldn't find much on these two programs, and when I tried to look up their highlights on YouTube, I think the first video I got was somebody in Madden trying to recreate the games in the last.
Okay.
Yeah. So hey, look, they got fans who are passionate enough. Kev, you're gonna have to explain this to me. I was looking at the current storylines and matchups.
Oh, yes.
What the hell's going on at NIU?
Well, I was trying to figure out what Northern Iowa's mascot is. The Panthers. Pretty sick one,
Sick.
honestly. Probably mountain lion related. But I actually didn't read the article. I just figured that headline was enough. Hope everyone's okay.
Look. Okay, Utah schools and scandals, that's not been a thing.
Anyhow. So, look, let's talk about Utah Tech, the team we're supposed to cover. They are 0-3, but it really shouldn't be that way. They led UC Davis by 17 points going into the third quarter. In the third quarter. Then they did, unfortunately, give up 24 in a row. Whatever. They threw 3 interceptions against North Arizona, lost by a touchdown. Idaho's so good. So you never know.
They should be ranked.
They covered the spread against them, though. That's what I know for sure. And I do know Northern Iowa has some funny name players, shall I say.
Here we go.
And I wish I had their first name. So quarterback, M. Sheckelman. Running back, H. Bebe. And linebacker, T. Langenberg. All right. O. Defensive lineman, O. Ostrowski.
If it wasn't blatantly obvious to everybody watching, this game does not factor into our actual record.
Yeah, there's no lines on it.
No, you can't even bet on this in anything.
And let's get to our
let's just, look, I think out of camaraderie.
Trailblazers.
Yeah. I do want to,
Come on now.
No, come on now. We're going to talk about the Utah Tech quarterback.
Barbin.
Deacon Hill.
What?
Yeah, that's his name, right?
I thought his name was B. Barbin. Anyhow.
Great that we have different opinions on who the starting quarterback for the team is. Okay.
Crap.
So Deacon Hill, the quarterback who I'm seeing on Wikipedia, is how many things? Ugh! That was the devil trying to exercise.
These are college athletes. They don't deserve this.
No,
Okay,
look,
we're both picking
kid,
Utah Tech.
No way.
Oh my gosh.
Deacon Hill, the quarterback for Utah Tech, is on record as when he went to play at Iowa in place of an injured Cade McNamara at the time. He was the heaviest QB in Iowa program history. Womp. Yeah, I think with this week, Kev, we're both not as confident No, I see you're confident on Utah, but across the board for me,
You are not.
I'm not, man. I think that this is a lot of teams who have just not been tested. I'm gonna just mentally block out that bottom game there. But I think we're dealing with a lot of question marks, so I'll be interested to watch. I think there's going to be a lot of note taking that's going to be needed because it's going to help dictate the second half of the season
Right as
very well.
conference play starts.
Exactly, yeah.
Actually, looking at this, we are aligned on every single pick, essentially.
Son of a bitch, we are.
And this brings us to our last slide of the day, and I know it's a long video, but also I know our fans are aware that this is what you watch for. Our vibe check parlays that, I mean, week one Tyler's hit, but after that we've been having a little bit of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, here's my parlay. I'm going UNLV to take money line against
I was actually looking
Miami,
at that
Ohio.
one. I was looking at that one. Yeah.
UNLV's undefeated. Miami is 0-2. So, and UNLV's 5-1 against the spread in the last 6 games. Yeah, come on. They're a 3-point favorite. All right, then NC State alt spread at Duke. NC State's the underdog. I gave it the alt spread just to, maybe I'm missing something. Then we got West Virginia. Again, they're about a 12-point underdog at Kansas. They got so much momentum. They got Rich Rodriguez. Give me 14.5. Total parlay, 330. My bonus pick, the Wolverhampton Wolves. I bet they draw with Leeds United.
I can see that happening. Yeah. Big time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Draws do up.
Draws
on
do up.
To you, Tyler.
Yes. First pick here for my parlay. Oregon team total over versus Oregon State. I watched the clip of Oregon State when they were playing. Can't remember who. Give me 1 second. Somebody
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. Thank you very much, Kevin. They look like a doggy doo-doo program. So I'm, Oregon. I think Dan Lanning, when he's mismatched against another Power 5 team that he just sees red for whatever reason and wants to run up the score as much as possible. So, yeah, give me Oregon. Georgia Tech, I'm high on them. No need to explain that. Maryland.
You were high on paint thinner.
What? Okay, yeah, here we go. Maryland, I think that this is a Big Ten matchup. It is an alt spread. Wisconsin's just not a good team. And being that it is an in-conference matchup, I think that 13.5 is too much. I don't think Wisconsin's good enough to beat them by that much. I think they still take away the win, but yeah, we'll see. So if you want to take that parlay, it'll bring you to a 368. Then my bonus pick. This is a league that I've been really passionate about since I've started watching them in the summer of 2026, Kevin. It is the Tokyo Yakult Swallows. Moneyline against the Chunichi Dragons. I think they're due for a win against this alleged rival. Yeah.
Yeah, bitter rivals.
Bitter rivals, I think.
I mean, the Dragons swallow.
The Dragons against the Swallows, yes.
Yes. And that brings his total parlay to plus 948. And that will do it for us this week.
Bye.
Okay, the longer one. Signing off. See ya.